Welcome to today's webinar. It's called Integrated Carbon Market, from EcoRegistry to Spherity Battery Passport via Carbonmark API. We are very thrilled to have you here with us as we dive into some exciting topics around sustainability, carbon markets, and latest innovations driving transparency and efficiency across supply chain. So before we get started, let me thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Whether you're here because you're passionate about climate change and climate action, and you're exploring new sustainability solutions for your business, or you're just simply curious about carbon markets, we hope you will find today's session really insightful and inspiring for you. So over the next hour, we're going to explore how seamless integration and interoperability are transforming carbon management, with a special focus on how platforms like EcoRegistry, we have today on the board Sarah from EcoRegistry, and Spherity. So we have today with us Dr. Carsten Stocker, are connected via Carbonmark API. And Drew will share more details about it later in the presentation. So how they are revolutionizing carbon credits and sustainability practices. So let me just share really quickly our amazing lineup we have today. So we have Dr. Carsten Stocker. He will be sharing some insights about the products that Spherity is working on, so including digital product passports and how they align with the European Sustainability Product Regulation. So then we will move to Andrew. So Andrew will share some exciting news about what we have in a Carbonmark and how Carbonmark API helps to drive this transparency in the market. And then we will move to Sarah. Sarah will share how our EcoRegistry platform works, and she will share some exciting projects that they have on their platform. So I encourage you to stay engaged throughout the session. So feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat. You can use emojis for reactions if you want to, support the speaker. He will be really happy just to understand your feedback and just to feel it. And there's a special bonus at the end, so just keep with us until the end. We'll just share it after everybody. So, and now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, who will kick things off by giving us an introduction to digital product passports and their significance in today's market. So please welcome Dr. Carsten Stocker here.
Excellent, Daria. Thank you for the nice introduction. And do you mind kind of enabling the sharing again?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. Now I can share my screen. My name is Carsten Stocker. I'm a physicist. So, and as a physicist, I pretty much did a lot of, let's say, calculations on the back of a napkin in terms of how much carbon are humans emitting and what is the impact on carbon greenhouse gas effects and warming of the atmosphere. And I think it's pretty kind of, pretty flabbergasting how worse the impact of human activity is on the environment, on carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but also on destroying biodiversity, which is even worse, and kind of, let's say, the carbon problem is just part of it. However, I think I'm very excited that the three of us, Carbonmark, EcoRegistry, and Spherity, are coming together to solve the solution or to contribute to a solution, to get the carbon dioxide emissions in a better shape. So I would like to discuss a bit the significance of digital product passports and the EU Green Deal. So European Union is pushing very hard to accelerate a transition from an old economy to a sustainable green economy, and digital product passports are a key component of it. And then I would like to introduce how digital product passports are connected to product carbon footprint, carbon credits, and carbon offset setting. And then I would like to give a demo in terms of integrating the Carbonmark APIs, how to offset a product's product carbon footprint. And we also believe in the rise of carbon neutral products. So for big brands, so we believe when we have full transparency on the carbon side of products, how much carbon have been emitted over the entire life cycle to produce a product, I think then consumers, governments, customs, so they're pretty much kind of looking forward to carbon neutral products. And I think what we are demonstrating today is a way to bring carbon neutral products to the market even today. And I think we can also discuss a bit of funding high quality carbon offset projects, because it's a big problem that you have, let's say, some low quality carbon offset projects in the market. And it's a little bit of double counting and a couple of other issues. But on the high quality carbon offset side, I think that's really key to bring trust to the ecosystem and to carbon neutral products. And that's also a big role for carbon registry, EcoRegistry to make sure we have kind of more transparency on high quality carbon projects. Yeah. Digital product passports, and the quote, DPPs are critical foundation for the transition to a green and sustainable economy. And this is Ilias Ikovidis, who said this, advisor of DG Connect, European Commission. And he basically kind of was one of the key persons to contribute a lot to one of the very important regulations, Green Deal regulations of the European Union. And this Green Deal regulation is the Eco Design for Sustainable Products. It's called the ESPR. And this ESPR, it's pretty amazing because the European Union wants to have, for all products in the European market, digital product passports that disclose the product carbon footprint of a product for all kind of categories, and even intermediate products and steel and aluminium and tires and toys, furniture. The only categories that are not part of it is food, animal food, and pharmaceuticals. You can basically say everything else gets digital product carbon, digital product passport with the product carbon footprint as part of it. And for that reason, we see a lot of transparency. This is not happening overnight. It takes a couple of years. And it's not only the European Union, it's also US. We have similar regulations in place. It's Japan. It's also New Zealand and other jurisdictions. So a lot of countries are kind of pushing forward with the digital product passports, disclosing a product carbon footprint. And here you see one of the signature regulations. That's the EU battery regulation. And if you look in the timeline, that's the earliest obligation for any product category in the European Union. And it's to disclose the carbon footprint of each battery in every electric vehicle by February 2025, and only a few months. Yeah? I think this is a very big problem to measure product carbon footprint. I think today we will not discuss too much. So what are the requirements? What are the standards? What are the methodologies to calculate a product carbon footprint? But I can assure you there are big industry initiatives going on to put the infrastructure, the standards, the regulations, the tests, the rule books in place to come up with product carbon footprint. And by February next year, so people have to disclose it. And that's the reason why a lot of industry initiatives, such as Catena-X, they are putting efforts in kind of putting rule books and standards in place, technology solutions, so the product carbon footprint for product can be captured along the supply chain. And most of the initiatives, they start with batteries because it's the earliest kind of, let's say, obligation where people have to disclose it. I have a couple of QR codes. If you're interested what Catena-X is doing here, just scan the QR codes. They're also partnering with other ecosystem actors to put the rule books and the infrastructure in place. And I think it's really worth a read how much kind of effort is already under the way to measure a product carbon footprint. I think I mentioned Catena-X. There are other efforts, the UN Transparency Protocol. They're also putting digital product passports in place for sustainability, ESG, green transition, you name it, and also for labor rights. So it's a full spectrum. Then there's a Global Battery Alliance. They're putting rule books in place. They're testing it to get the product carbon footprint and the digital battery passports in place. Then there are other ecosystems, Catena-X, manufacturing, they're doing the same. A battery passport project. They have developed world-class content guidance, data standardization, demonstrators, architectures, how to do it. It's going in Dean spec, it's going in JTC 24, and JTC 24 is a big working group, standardization working group, standardizing digital product passports in the European Union, and projects such as Surpass are also doing this. Most of the work right now is being done on upstream supply chain until a so-called economic operator, because anyone who's putting products on the market is an economic operator, and by law they're obliged to deliver digital product passport and a product carbon footprint. And then you can think about a lot of use cases for vehicles, for product, in terms of circular principles, extending the use and optimizing the use phase. So longer use, more utilization, less waste, and of course, responsible take back. Also, critical raw materials to extract them, to reuse, recycle, refurbish the products, so that we have longer duration, that we keep critical raw materials in our jurisdictions and don't ship it to, let's say, to the global source, to dump it somewhere. And that's exactly what the Green Deal is about: have sustainable, responsible practices, how to deal with products, extend their life cycle and recycle them. And the digital product passport is the key ingredient to do this. Now, let's assume we have the product carbon footprint data in place, yeah? So we upload them in a product passport. So there's a product passport for entire batches, for serialized products, yeah, whatever you think about it. So there are more benefits. It's sustainability regulation, it's carbon, yeah, whatever, carbon transparency, it's product safety, product authenticity, value-added services, customer engagement, circularity, process integration. You can think about a lot of use cases beyond regulatory compliance if you have a digital product passport in place. Now we have a digital product passport in place and we know the product carbon footprint. And what we basically did at Spherity, and I will demonstrate it. So we integrated Carbonmark's API. So in one click, a brand, a manufacturer can basically say, oh, this is my product carbon footprint, let's say for a batch or for a product. And then I would like to offset it with one click. The human can do it, but also a system user can do it, can call an API. And then you basically buy an offset certificate, compensate offset your product carbon footprint of the product, and suddenly you have a zero carbon product in place. You push this to the market with full transparency on the upstream side. How much carbon emissions did we have on the one hand, and on the other hand, you have full transparency. You offsetted it with a quality carbon offset assertion projects, yeah. And this is basically then the connection to EcoRegistry. And on this slide, you see how it all comes in place, yeah. You get the data, product carbon footprint in the passport, then you decide to offset it. You integrate Carbonmark API, we get a pricing, we buy it. So we buy the offset, and then we it's further integrated from the Carbonmark side into EcoRegistry that has the full provenance of the carbon offset asset. And I can put verifiable provenance in front of my customers so that they believe me and that I don't do greenwashing, because this is also what the European Union does not want to have. They put the Green Claim Initiative in place, and it's specifically to prevent that companies are misguiding, misleading their consumers by fake or whatever misleading assertions about product and their product carbon footprint. And that's a Green Claim Initiative, and with the full verifiability upstream, and then on the product carbon offset, also on the carbon offset provenance, then you have also verifiability to the customer, and then you have fully trusted zero carbon products in place. And I think this is unprecedented solution that's here in place, that Spherity, Carbonmark, and EcoRegistry put in place. Now, let me have a look. I will quickly share to what we have done here. This is, by the way, a cathode material. In a battery, you have a cathode and an anode, and then you have electrolyte. But here you have the cathode material. So as a physicist, I haven't seen this before. It looks like coffee beans or droppings, yeah. But in reality, it's a cathode material, and that's a digital product a digital material passport, because that's not a finished product, it's going finished good, sold to an end consumer. It's a component, it's a material, it's called a digital material passport of a cathode. And then typically you have information like, okay, so who was the manufacturer? So we did this with the big chemical company. So what is the material? You have some batch information, densities, specific energy, thermal stability, the voltage that the cathode is operating, maybe whatever, safety certifications and so on, supply chain information, child labor, human rights, and that's also nice. And so this kind of information, maybe in a different format, we will have soon when we buy a product in the European market. It's not only about, let's say, sustainability and the environment, it's also about labor rights. Yeah? So here you see that you can, as a participant, as a recycler, you might want to have more information. You log in with your recycler credential, and then you have more information, due diligence or whatever, can be customs or an agency. So they log in with their role credential, and then they get the due diligence, sustainability information, EU taxonomy disclosure, third-party supply chain assurances, or as a recycler, I can get the kind of, let's say, destruction information. How do I get the cathode out of the battery? At which temperature do I have whatever? Have to separate the elements and to recycle and reuse it. That's all part of it. You have a bit of the material composition of this type of cathode. It's called nickel, manganese, cobalt cathode, but there are also other elements in it, at least according to this example. You see this chemical composition, that's what you need to recycle, and a couple of more information. You can check this out your own. What's also nice, in some cases you want to know the origin. And this is interesting for the global south, because we don't want to put too much burden on the small, medium enterprises. Artisanal mining, small scale mines in Africa, they cannot afford a full digital infrastructure. Sometimes they're more digital than companies in Germany, but let's assume they cannot afford it. So we are also working, and that's a big trend, to deliver, let's say, simple bootstrap solutions, so that small companies in Africa, global south, somewhere else, so they can deliver assertions, kind of country of origins, some other assertions, that they can participate in the global economy, because it's about fair participation in global economy, and we cannot lock them out because they cannot bring their digital certificates. Anyway, so work is underway to do this, and then you see this mine, and where is it, and who owns it. In this case, it's kind of a venture, kind of co-owned by China. Sometimes it's also important. You would like to know who is the beneficial owner and the control structure of the mines, and we have this. But today we are not here for this information. We're here for product carbon footprint. In this case, it's a cathode. The cathode material has kind of a carbon dioxide emission of 0.8 kilogram. And now let's assume we have a batch of 1,000 of this. This would be 800 kilogram, so 1,000 cathodes. And what we basically did here, so we integrated in an API a carbon footprint. You have the PCF certificate with all the product carbon footprint information. Now I would like to kind of to go for a carbon neutral cathode. And then I get a price via the API of Carbonmark. In this case, I have bought it. I've really bought the certificate for 1,000 virtual cathodes, because I'm not producing cathodes. So I bought it, and then so in this case, I already bought it. I got the certificate here. Oh no, and now it's, I think, downloading. Let's look what's happening here. I've downloaded too much. Maybe it's not downloading today. I downloaded several times. I was not patient enough. And that's basically the type of certificate. Come on, that's the type of certificate you get. You have your carbon credit retirement, 0.8 tons, 800 kilogram. So basically, this is the identifier of the batch. So we bought it for a simple batch, and it's basically linked to the batch of the cathode, and it's part of the certificate. I cannot reuse it for another batch. I can basically check, is it for this batch or something else? You see the origin of the carbon offset project, and then even kind of, let's say, you have even that's the address of the beneficiary, it's us, the transaction ID, all this kind of stuff. and it's even anchored on the blockchain. So that's immutable kind of stamp on the blockchain. At least that's how Carbonmark is doing it. Yeah, that's for me, for this batch, no one else. It cannot be double counted and so on. And then I have a pretty nice audit trail for my customers that my cathode material went carbon neutral. And you can do, of course, the same for fast-moving consumer goods, textiles, and electronics, and some other stuff. Same principles, but we did it for cathodes as a material, and that's a bit what we did. That's what we did a bit on this side. So let me quickly close with a couple of remarks. Yeah, if you would like, scan the QR code, digital material passport. I also put the presentation on LinkedIn. You can download it and scan later if you go to my LinkedIn account, carstenstöcker.spherity.com. But you might have did this. And even for T-shirts, this is where people have a lot of kind of textiles, electric vehicle batteries, textiles. You combine it with some marketing mechanisms. You might want to kind of link it to a mystery box, and then people scan it, see the PCF, but then they participate in the mystery box. They have scanned it. You have a much better customer engagement. So it comes with additional benefits, two sides on one coin. On the one hand, sustainability, Green Deal. On the other side of the coin is the customer engagement and marketing incentives and better experience. And even there, we did an experiment and we measured it with e-commerce products. If you combine a product on e-commerce, you combine it with digital product passport and with a nice incentive loyalty marketing initiative, usually you have product returns, If you do it, the number of product returns is reduced by 10 to 20%. If you combine the product DPP in an intelligent way with some marketing loyalty incentives, you reduce your product returns by 10 to 20%. And even this is a very important contribution to a circular economy because we reduce waste and we reduce logistics and whatever and carbon emissions because the product's being returned by a big truck. That's what we don't want to have. So at Spherity, we have 3 products. Vera Studio, this is a Web 2 for simple DPP publishing, rapid prototyping, full production. Then we have a Vera SSI, where we have full verifiable trust chains in terms of data provenance, where's the data coming from, I can check this, I cannot tamper with the data anymore. And Vera X for industrial products, we include this in ecosystems such as Catena X, and that's more kind of for the industrial side. And before I close, I want to show this because that's also a nice feature. So when we sign the information, the assertions about the product, we don't want to tamper, we don't want to mislead the customers. So this is how we integrate it on our side. This T-shirt has a lot of information. It's kind of bound to trust domain. We can verify all the information, and then the customer sees, that the product is authentic, that the information are authentic. No one is kind of misleading customers, and that's really, really kind of a big step forward in terms of improving customer trust in our products. And that's a prerequisite for all the Green Deal and DPPs to work, because if customers don't trust, then the information doesn't matter. People don't change their behavior. And in the end, we all would like to transition to a greener economy, greener, more sustainable economy, and DPPs as a foundation, as the EU Commission said. And I would like to really underline, based on the work we're doing with leading companies that are leading the way to circularity, that's really what you get out of the technology. And I encourage everyone kind of to participate in this movement. Daria, over to you.
Yeah, Dr. Stocker, thank you so much for such an insightful presentation. So let's move to our next speaker. So Andrew, could you, please, just give me a second.
Sure. Yeah, we'll get the presentation up there. But Dr. Stocker, thank you so much for that insightful presentation there. So let's see, do we have everything up? Yep. So today, I'm excited to discuss some of the most pressing challenges from our perspective in the carbon market today, as well as ways that at Carbonmark we're approaching solving them, particularly focusing on concepts like interoperability, transparency in the market, and automation. So my goal today is to showcase how Carbonmark is driving change for a more interconnected and ultimately impactful carbon market. can go to the next slide. There we go. So many organizations today in the market really struggle with interacting with the carbon market, and that's due to its siloed nature. So in particular, there's myriad brokers, exchanges, marketplaces, and registries that don't often share the same infrastructure. So in short, they're not able to communicate or send assets in an easy way. And these silos create a number of challenges. You have opaque processes for offset sourcing, for example. You have asymmetry of information, price risks, and quite a few time-consuming procedures for carbon offset sourcing. And these challenges are really at the core of what Carbonmark is working to address. So our products are designed to make the carbon sourcing process more streamlined, transparent, and the market infrastructure more connected. So before diving in, let's take a look at a few of Carbonmark's metrics. So we have over 160 carbon projects integrated across a number of different carbon registries, including EcoRegistry. And we've offset over 900,000 tons within our ecosystem on behalf of our clients. All of this is enabled while operating on the carbon neutral Polygon blockchain. And we operate on the blockchain because of the traceability and the transparency benefits that brings to us. And we also have an international team working across 6 global locations to help make these achievements possible. So one of our standout solutions is the Carbonmark API. It's designed to connect platforms and systems and integrating carbon offsetting directly into some new or existing workflows, like those outlined by Dr. Stocker. So one of the challenges that we faced in the early days leveraging blockchain technology was really providing an easy way for our users to connect to the assets that were on that infrastructure. The API was originally born out of this as it provided a more intuitive interface for software developers to utilize carbon credits that were hosted on Carbonmark's platform, including by automating purchase and retirement flows. Our technology provides a seamless solution to move credits from registry accounts to our platform, where they're then made available to our API clients. And those could include e-commerce companies, automated emissions analysis and offsetting, or kind of, as we say, carbon SaaS companies, and others. So the API is a key piece of how we're working towards building a more interconnected carbon market, where transactions are fully traceable all the way from the issuance of the credits to their final retirement benefit. So essentially what this means for other software builders is that they can embed the positive impact that carbon mitigation removal projects have on our platform and indirectly into their own products and services. So given that the underlying infrastructure we're using to achieve this, we have better data consistency, traceability, and transparency across the carbon market value chain. Ultimately, we believe this will lead to greater environmental impact and greater assurances to end buyers that what they're purchasing is contributing towards having a tangible impact. Now, to take that a step further, we're already working on integrating live what's called digital monitoring, reporting, and verification, or DMRV, data for one of our novel carbon removal projects that we're supporting. So this information is also embedded within the carbon credits on our platform. So you have more live insights into the impact of these projects. And this is all about providing a more auditable and secure information trail for the carbon credits transacted on our platform. So one of the things we've done is we've built the Carbonmark Resource Hub. This has everything that developers required to get started immediately. Carbonmark can provide support and example use cases to help you embed your carbon credits in your own application. Whether you're a payment gateway, e-commerce company, or emissions consultancy looking to offer your clients a greater range of carbon credits, our flexible API makes it easy to connect to your own users and clients with impactful carbon projects. So let's break down the key benefits here of using the API. And in particular, across supply chains that Spherity is exploring right now. The API enhances transparency. You're able to ensure visibility across the supply chain, and that's important to maintain trust in the market. The API also automates carbon credit procurement, and that provides a basis to build new applications that leverage carbon credits. And finally, it's creating a more unified and connected market while enhancing collaboration and really improving market intelligence. Because again, you have that transparency there, so you see exactly what's available, the current pricing, and you have an audit trail for all of the carbon retirements that have taken place. So in closing, we really believe that interoperability transparency, and automation are key to scaling up global sustainability efforts. Carbonmark, together with Spherity and EcoRegistry, is really proud to be at the forefront of some of these innovations and offering solutions that makes it easier for organizations to meet their sustainability goals. So appreciate your time today, and look forward to discussing how some of the organizations that have joined us here today can leverage our tooling that we've created to help make a more positive environmental impact. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Andrew, for it. It has been a pleasure to listen to you and just to share your vision of the future and the product. So, and let's move to Sarah. So you will be closing I think that today's webinar. So let me just mute. Yeah. So Sarah, can you please unmute yourself? Yeah, cool.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Daria. So I'm going to start. So thank you for this invitation for this webinar today. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what EcoRegistry is. So one of I think the biggest challenge that we face in our daily, we face daily in our work here is like over the past few years, the carbon market has grown significantly. More and more companies and governments are making serious commitments to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. However, despite this progress, there is a big challenge that we still face. One of them is the lack of transparency and connectivity in the market. As Andrew said, so this is really, really important to make alliances, to make partnerships to get better in transparency. The way to do it is with connectivity. So in this case, for example, for environmental projects, for the market to function effectively, we need platforms that offer clear traceability, easy access, and good data. That's exactly that we aim to provide with EcoRegistry. So as you know, so EcoRegistry is a registered platform for environmental assets. So we support independent standards to manage and to certify the carbon units, and also we help countries to manage and to track their greenhouse gas emissions. So our platform supports various processes, including to track all the project certification process. Also, in the platform, the different stakeholders can access to approve different processes, like, for example, carbon tax compensation, or in this case, at different stages in the verification or validation stages. So EcoRegistry is here to make to manage these environmental activities simpler and more effective. So as I said before, one of the biggest challenges in the carbon market is ensuring effective connectivity. We need systems that provide transparent and traceability, and with traceability information with easy public access. At the EcoRegistry, we have been committed to addressing this challenge from the beginning. So our goal has always been to break down barriers that make it hard for projects to enter the market, and to enable them to interact with multiple marketplaces, as for example, Carbonmark and this integration that we are providing today. So to tackle these connectivity issues, we have implemented advanced API solutions. The first way, so we implemented the API connection. Please, you can move to the next slide directly. So that's the challenge. So the transparency data, the clear workflow, and the connectivity and the information exchange. So for that challenge, we offer the first solution to the API is the public access API. So we have that public API that allows the users to access to general information about the projects. So anybody can access through API to access to the general information of the project, the requirements of that project as well. And this API lets to this platform creates like a representation of EcoRegistry assets on their own systems. So that's a way to do it. Also, the API ensures that all information is transparent and accessible to everyone. Also, in this public API, we also any user can access to the platform and can download an Excel file. This is free and public, and in this Excel file, they can access to all the information about the project, like the serials number, the quantity of the carbon units issued, or the retirements that the project has. And also, I mean, the second way that we offer the solution in connectivity is the private API for marketplaces or exchanges. So we offer this private API. We use a private key to connect with marketplaces and exchanges. So this API lets also this platform creates like a representation of EcoRegistry on their own systems, and the users that use our platform as well, so can access or can use this platform or this business model in 3 ways. The first one is like the users can log these EcoRegistry units and then transfer that information about this assets to other platforms. On this platform, users can use different business models to access to the market and to make transactions. So that's the way, for example, that we work in this connection with Carbonmark. So where the users can access to Carbonmark to see all that information that we provide through API through that connection with EcoRegistry. So the people can access to see all the general information about the project. So we make sure that all that units are logged in the EcoRegistry system. So for that information purposes, for buy or sell purposes as well. And the second way that the users interact with this connection is like if a user has an account in both accounts in EcoRegistry and another platform, in this case, for example, with Carbonmark, they can transfer units back to EcoRegistry. This is the way that we can show that we can enhance or we can ensure the real-time connectivity, that the units can be unlocked and then used again in our platform as needed, so the users can use it in that way. And the third way is like if a user wants to initiate any retirement from another platform, let me know, like in the Carbonmark, so they search project information, they are interested in one of that project. So all the relevant information that is important in their retirement certificate as a the final beneficiary or the purpose of the retirement, if this applies, for example, for any carbon tax compensation, is sent back to EcoRegistry. That's information. We then complete their retirement process and ensure all details are public to all the users, and that's the way that we maintain the full transparency of the project. So once you access to the information about the project in our platform, you will be able to see all the retirement process that the project has, and also you can see or you can download the certificate as well in our platform, as well in the other platform. I mean, it depends on the business model. In this case, with Carbonmark and Spherity, that's the way that we are working together to do that, to make this carbon market with yet facing that lack of transparency of information. So, I mean, our API solutions are designed to provide and secure connectivity in the carbon market. So now I'd like to show you a video, a short video from us, so that show how our solution works in practice.
We are constantly evolving and bringing new solutions to the market. Working together with all stakeholders in the ecosystem has enabled our team to propose forefront solutions. Accessing the market without any friction is crucial to consolidate projects and provide liquidity, ensuring sustainable development. However, some communities, project developers, and project owners face challenges accessing the market. Many reasons contribute to this, including a lack of trust between buyers and sellers, lack of information about projects, and a complex market that's difficult to understand. EcoRegistry provides a solution to these problems through transparency and connectivity. We share all public information about projects on our website and through a public API, presenting clear information about the attributes of each environmental asset registered on our platform. Our connectivity engine allows us to connect with multiple environments, including assessment processes requiring public information, exchanges, and marketplaces. This is done through various technologies, including legacy systems and our tokenization engine, connecting to the web environment. The publicly available information can be accessed in different ways, downloading an Excel file for issuances or retirements through our website, or companies assessing projects can connect to our API engine for automated information requests. To request an API connection, please contact us to generate your connectivity token. Connecting to exchanges and marketplaces requires sharing private information. This information can only be shared if the holder of the units in EcoRegistry also has an account in the exchange or marketplace they want to connect to. For this purpose, EcoRegistry establishes an API connection. Users select the specific units they want available in the marketplace, and these units are blocked in an omnibus account. The information is then shared with the exchange or marketplace. From this point, users can access market services, with units returning to EcoRegistry for retirement purposes. Our retirement certificates recognize the end beneficiary, providing details about the project that originated the units, including attributes like SDGs implementations, serial numbers, retirement purposes, personalized comments, and a QR code to track the certificate on EcoRegistry's website. EcoRegistry, bringing transparency, connectivity, and trust to the market for a sustainable future.
Okay, thank you all for this invitation again to Daria. So back to you, Daria.
Sarah, thank you so much for the videos are always so nice to watch. I really love this one. Okay, and thank you so much for sharing the story behind the EcoRegistry. So I think it's really valuable for everybody attending and listening to us today. So yeah, let me just share. Okay, so let's read some of the questions that we have in the chat. So I'll start with the first one. So this one is for Dr. Stocker. So are there any other solutions for automated data exchange in the supply chain besides Catena-X?
Oh, this is a good question. So I once met a guy from Ethereum, yeah, and he basically said there was just Bitcoin, a couple of colored coins and whatever on the blockchain. And it was pretty interesting because he said, hey, there's no other game in town because, Ethereum has smart contracts. And I think Catena-X, you can discuss technology and a couple of different technology pieces that are coming together, identity, secure data exchange, policy engines, access controlled on access control mechanisms on very granular data. This is all technology. On top of Catena-X comes a trust model and a conformance governance, yeah. Because if some people build, let's say, very secure identity solutions on platinum level, other on bronze level, then the entire trust is kind of going down to bronze level because you don't know who's on platinum and so on, and relate to identity theft or let's say to manipulation about assertions. And I think this trust model and conformance governance, there's no other ecosystem, no other game in town that has come so far the way to put such a model in place. It's sophisticated, it's solid, it's in operations. You can use it, it's fully in operations. Marketplaces are in operations. So we have a digital battery passport solution on the Catena-X marketplace. And it was assessed, it went through a conformance assessment. It's a proper solution. I think there's no other ecosystem has come so far. And Catena-X, it's a kind of a European project. It has hubs in Mexico, United States, Canada, South Africa, China, Japan, South Korea, and other countries. So it's really a bit of a global movement, and that's what you need to put such a trust and data exchange infrastructure in place. And I don't know any ecosystem has come so far the way to deliver such an infrastructure. And for me, there's no other game in town. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I hope, yeah, we've answered your question. So the next one would be, I think, for Sarah and Andrew. So what are the differences in services of EcoRegistry API and Carbonmark API? So could you please share this one?
Sure, Sarah, maybe you can start with the EcoRegistry API, and then I'll carry that over to what we do from that.
Yes, of course. So I think that the big difference between the Carbonmark and us is like we are just a registry platform. We are like a stakeholder in the carbon market. So we just offer the solution for independent standard to certify the projects, for certified projects in the carbon market. So we ensure that all the information of the project with the verification or the validation stages that happens in a project, it happens with transparency and traceability in our platform. Once the project is certified by the standard, so you will be able to see the certification of that emissions or that emissions like that. So that information is the information that we share with different platforms. In this case, for example, with Carbonmark, that is a marketplace. So in our platform, you don't be able to commercialize in that way. So you don't be able to purchase the project. You just only see the public or the general information and what happened with that project during the certification process. That's the way that we work, because we work with different standards as for example, Sir Carbono, as Asia Caribbean Institute. So all that project that standards in the carbon market certifier, so will appear in our platform. So we just only share that information. I don't know if Andrew can put that.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. So once we have that information from a registry like EcoRegistry, it's listed on our platform. Now, we see ourselves as a peer-to-peer marketplace, essentially, right? We work with project developers across a number of different certification standards. So we have connections with other registries as well, and we aggregate all of that information and the assets themselves, the carbon credits from those registries on the platform. Now, what our API does then is it takes that data that we sometimes enrich. So we will add media from the projects. We have many different project developer relationships. They list their credits on our platform and so on. And we take all that information and then we make that available through what we call carbon retirement API. Now that means that then other people like Dr. Stocker's company can take the API, specific projects from that, and then just have a button on their website for people to be able to purchase and retire a certain asset. Now, the other thing is that people can use the API and they can pull together different projects and create their own carbon products from that. So it may be, for example, that you want to take, let's say, a blue carbon project, a renewables project, and some other type of forestry project, and create a specific carbon product from that. Our API allows you to do that. So it's really just to serve as a building block for people to create new ways of aggregating demand for the carbon credits themselves that may come from a place like EcoRegistry, or they may come from other registries as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope this covers everything. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so the next question, let me just scroll to the part. So Andrew, can you please provide examples of your clients that have integrated the API into their existing workflows, and do they see any impact on their sustainability efforts from that?
Well, I think I'll highlight two things. One, I think, is just in regards to inventory management. The companies that use our API are able to access, over about 15 million credits that are actually on the platform, again, from a variety of different certification standards and so on. So they don't need to hold inventory because these credits are already listed by a variety of different project developers and so on. What that means is they don't have to tie up working capital to make sure that they have inventory for their clients, right? They can just call the API, select which projects are available there, how many credits they want to purchase and so on, and then, execute that retirement. The other piece is in regard to, I would say, fractionalization, which I think opens up some interesting use cases. So we have some companies that are doing automated emissions analysis for different products. For example, there's a company that's working with car fleets in Italy, for example. And, for a certain usage of a car, you may just be using, let's say, half a ton or a quarter of a ton of CO2 being emitted from that. And so through the API, with certain classes of credits on the platform, you can choose to just retire that portion of the unit. It's all secured through our system. You have the certificate automatically generated from that. And again, because we're utilizing blockchain infrastructure underneath all of this, you have a fully traceable chain of custody showing that purchase and that retirement of the carbon unit there. And then that information is communicated directly back to the registry. So I think it's the flexibility of the API that opens up some new use cases, which is so interesting for some of the clients that we work with.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, and maybe the last questions, and we will just wrap up the webinar. So this one for Dr. Stocker. So the use of cases like digital, DPP and DPP, digital product passport, etc. by Katinix are only developed for automotive industry, or actually also for other industry supply chain? And the question mark.
Yeah. I think so. There's a lot of work going on for other supply chains in the energy sector, in the chemical sector, aerospace sector, logistics sector, textile sector, food sector. I think other sectors are kind of trying to put something similar in place, and Catena-X is a kind of a blueprint for them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. So I think we'll wrap it up the webinar. So thank you so much for being our speakers today, and you're sharing your insights, the example, the use cases. I really love the video, so this one's my favorite. So yeah, and so for the attendees, so thank you so much for joining us today. We loved your feedback and the questions, and we will share the recording later. And we will share some extra bonuses for the people who stayed until the end. So, and just look out for the emails from us. And we will share the contacts of the speakers if you want to reach out and to talk to them directly. So you'll find all this in an email. Okay, and thank you so much for joining us today, speaking today. So it's been quite a pleasure for everybody. Okay.
Super. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me. All the best.
Bye. Thank you.